If you give me a few minutes, I give you a strategy that has the potential to completely blow up your Skool community membership or other online education offer. We're talking about the first or next sale, or the thing that finally gets you off of that plateau and into growth mode again. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Evelyn. I also have a Skool community, and as you can see, it's growing quite well with over $12,000 in new monthly recurring revenue in the last 30 days. Overall, it's at $68,000 monthly recurring revenue, and this is just one of the many things that I do. Since 2020, I've generated over 9 million from low ticket online sales, mostly mini offers and memberships. And I'm also an advertiser. I run, for example, the ads for the Skool platform itself. So I know a thing or two about membership and online education offers and how to make them click with cold traffic specifically, which is all coming down to having the right offers and having the right understanding about how to create and advertise those offers. And this is what I'm going to give you in this video. All right, so we're first going to cover the specificity gap that you have right now. Then I'm going to walk you through my framework, how I like to think about this. I'm going to give you the parameters that make the perfect offer. And then I'm going to show you why it has the potential to not only give you momentum, but actually create a real flywheel for your membership. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is that there is a specificity gap. So cold traffic buys specific outcomes. And if it's true for cold traffic, it also is reflective in warmer traffic. In cold traffic, because it's the majority of people we could attract, right? And because we typically run ads to it, so we have more data, it really becomes very, very visible that this is the problem, right? So advertising your community directly often fails because this is how people see community, right? It's a one big blur. Now, advertising your classrooms and your events inside your community already becomes a little bit more clear, but advertising specific artifacts, specific tangible deliverables from within your community, like ad templates, a planner, a journal, a workbook, a workshop about a specific topic. Now that is super tangible. And this is what actually creates that pull, right? So as specificity increases, your pull power on ads increases, right? So when people hear the word community, they don't know exactly what they're getting, who it's for, if it will help them. Plus, then it's also a recurring payment, which is scary in itself. And then that's why even desirable communities, right, in health, wealth, relationship, often struggle to sell profitably directly to cold audiences. Even when I look at my community, right, the best ads is not advertising Grow with Evelyn. It's advertising the traffic challenge inside Grow with Evelyn. It's advertising the membership launch course inside Grow with Evelyn. It's advertising the ad templates inside there. So your best ads will always be the things inside your community. Even if your community is incredible, it often is not specific enough to really convince cold traffic. So the more specific your front-end offer, the thing we show people on our ads or in our organic content is, the easier it is to convert strangers into potential buyers. Okay, that's the key takeaway here. Now, I like to think about this in this specific framework. The smallest unit has the biggest pull. So I like to make the reference of a town, a restaurant, and a dish. And every membership has these layers. Your community is like a town people have never heard of. Your restaurant is your classrooms and calls, which is people have understanding roughly of what is a course, right? Which is what is in your side of your classroom, or what is a hot seat call, right? If you just say call, nobody will care. But if you say, oh, it's a hot seat call or it's an implementation call, okay, people have more partial familiarity with. Versus when you show your signature items, artifacts, offers from within your membership, you can literally visualize them, mock them up and show them, right? Make it super, super tangible and super easy to understand. And those are like your signature dishes inside of a restaurant, right? So think of your community as a town. Nobody wakes up wanting to visit that town, especially if they have not heard of that town and there's no reputation that it has. People go to New York, right? New York has a reputation, right? But mostly because they want to see the Central Park or the Empire State Building, and they have heard that the city never sleeps. The reputation comes from what is happening inside. Your restaurants are your classrooms and calls, your courses, workshop, masterclasses. Your libraries are items and call libraries as they grow. They are attractive and they can pull people in. But what is like really, really super hyper attractive is those small dishes, like a small specific consumable that people tell their friends about, right? So it's that hot dog from New York that's going viral, and now I have to, before I die, knock off tasting that hot dog off my bucket list, right? So it is consumable. I have a direct experience that I associate with it, and I have kind of this quick win digestible memory. And that's what we want to have. It's like digital products and training around how to use them that's most attractive, and it has the biggest potential of blowing up your community. I'm talking about themed workshops, journals, cheat sheets, trackers, planners, interactive AI artifacts. Those are the things that really create this desirability and this, oh, I want this. I would join the whole community just for this one thing. You don't even need a lot of trust if the dish is done right, because it is then obviously valuable on its own. The difference between come and check out this restaurant and you have to try this one thing that they make, right? So it's like, oh, this is a really, really good restaurant. Oh, that's interesting, right? But it's like, oh, this is the world famous hot dog, right? Then it's also very, very clear what I'm supposed to do in there, right? So it again removes uncertainty, and with that is really powerful. Now, how do you make this perfect in-school offer? There's basically 4 factors that make an offer inside your community, your membership, your coaching program, your course really attractive. It's problem specificity. So what specific problem does this solve? It's format, believability, it's borrowed familiarity, and it's self-explanatory. Okay, so what does this mean? For me, for example, 1 out of 5 of the offers that I create actually then has enough pull power on the front end. And what separates it is that the offers that really, really hit with cold traffic, they are hyper specific towards solving a small but painful problem. So, you want to think of a dish that scratches a very specific craving, and you want to narrow down because it beats broad every single time. People think they need to make these huge things, but a small dedicated solution can be extremely powerful. Like, instead of creating your mock-up ads, your visualizations from scratch, I have a prompt that creates it with AI for you. It just generates it. That is more valuable to people than a 2-hour course on how to create the perfect mock-up. And I think it's clear, right? Because we want to have solutions that are consumable. If you pay attention, find a lot of small things you have solved in a really, really smart way, and you can package that and pass it on, right? So even like here, this is an experience, right, that I had, how I best market my communities. And because I visualized it like this and I'm delivering it with a video, this in itself could be a specific training. I just also want to make my YouTube channel really valuable, but I could actually sell this strategy, especially if I were to bundle it up with a few more templates on how to exactly implement it, right? So this is what really you want to have in mind. Believability is really important. So people need to believe that the format is actually going to deliver, right? A cheat sheet that gives someone the answer in 5 minutes is more believable than a course that takes 3 weeks. They need to believe that the thing is going to help them, but then they also need to believe that they can do it, which typically also through how you scope the problem makes it believable that, oh yeah, I could probably create a really nice mock-up ad if I use this prompt, even if I don't have design skills, right? So the believability is really important. Borrowed familiarity, the best dishes remind you of something you already love. So if people already have a reference point, they get it immediately. Some of you might not know what a mock-up is. It will be harder for me to sell to you, but I can visualize it. More of you in general know that I need an ad template, so it will be easier for me to sell that. You want to borrow on things that people already have partial familiarity with. They need to be self-explanatory. This ties into this. You don't need a waiter to spend 10 minutes explaining why you should order it. You need to see it and you need to want it. So it needs to be very, very self-explanatory. The more self-explanatory it is, the more valuable it is. Something can seem like a brilliant idea to you because you have already a lot of context, but if an unaware audience doesn't get it immediately, it won't convert. What I just said about mockup, right? I personally know what a mockup is. I know my audience knows what a mockup is, but the unaware people that I actually want to reach, they might have never heard it before and they might not have a concept to it, right? So this is what makes this really, really tricky and why I also only have a 1 out of 5 hit rate of really creating something that is super scalable towards cold traffic. But when you have it, it can completely change the game. Okay, now why is this so worth doing? One dish can start a complete compounding loop. So the single offer flywheel, why this is your biggest opportunity right now. We have a dish that converts. a member joins, they make progress because your thing is so consumable. That helps the retention to grow, your reputation builds, the sales get easier, right? So this is a complete flywheel. And also as new members join, existing members are reaffirmed that you have value in there. And the thing that you create for new members, you of course also created for your existing members. So there's always an incentive to stay because there's a new consumable solution that helps people make progress. And as long as people make progress, being in your world, they want to stay in your world. Okay, so whether you're starting, have launched, but are struggling to grow, or you're trying to scale, one perfect dish really changes everything. One perfect in school, in membership, in course offer can completely change the game. It gives you something specific and attractive that you can advertise beyond the community itself. And on the back end, your members will be excited about it and they will make progress. And they will see that more people are coming in. And now we're all doing this thing together. We're all making progress together. There's massive momentum, people doing things. And when people do things, they have new problems. And when they have new problems, you can solve new problems. It really creates this upward flywheel. And just to give you an idea of how scalable a single offer can be, I was relatively stagnant with my monthly recurring revenue. And it was all the way down to 50,000 when I started to introduce the traffic challenge. And I was able to really scale up first with the traffic challenge and then after with the membership launch challenge. Traffic challenge is still the strongest, but this one entry point into my world, it keeps going and going and going, and I can test new ones and they stack on top of each other, right? And at the same time, it's work that I have to do for my community anyway, right? I anyway have to find things that they can do that move them towards our shared goal. So I just think about creating those things in this very, very consumable way, also because it makes me a better teacher and it gives them better results, right? So for example, I recently created this training on how to create in-school offers. And instead of making it a long, long training, it is a mini course teaching them how to do it with AI artifacts. And it gives the exact templates on how to do it. And the formats I'm giving them are the ones I know work and cold traffic has partial familiarity with. So I'm trying to take a lot of creative burden off of them so that I don't have to teach them the principles or anything, because one thing I've learned now extensively is people don't want to know. People just want to implement something that works. And this is what you want to do for them and make it as tangible as possible. Give people something in their hands and something they can check off and do today. All right, this is my video and I hope you found this helpful. If you want to see my actual ads to my offers inside my school, then you can watch the previous video that I uploaded on this channel where I show you all of my winning school ads. I see you there.